How's it going, everybody? Today is Tuesday, which means that it's time for another live Q&A. I'm here to answer all your questions about eBay and Amazon dropshipping. If you're here live, make sure to ask questions inside the live chat. I'll answer them live for you. If you're watching this in the future, ask a question in the comment section of any of my videos, and I'm going to answer them either right away or next week during my next live Q&A. I do them every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to make sure that you don't miss them, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification so you get an alert as soon as I go live. So I'm going to pull up here the, oops, I lost it, the live chat so I can see who is here with me today. Okay. We have Chewbacca back in the house. Sea Monkeys here is, as usual, Emmanuel. Welcome, Emmanuel. Okay, Emmanuel asks a great question right off the bat. Emmanuel says, hey, Paul, first of all, thank you for your awesome help. I have a question. Do you use Amazon as a source? If yes/no, can you please give some pros and cons of using Amazon as a source to list onto eBay? Okay. And everyone let me know if you can hear me. I'm using a brand new mic, so I want to make sure that everyone can hear me fine, but it looks like it's working fine. So Emmanuel, I'm going to answer your question. Using Amazon as a source, there's lots of benefits to using Amazon. One of the benefits is that they ship out items very, very quickly. And that looks very good for your but the buyers. They want to get their items as quickly as possible. Everyone's saying the mic works great. Awesome. So in addition to that, Amazon has amazing customer service. So they want to make sure that the purchaser, who in this case is you/the buyer, is as happy as possible. So they'll bend over backwards, make sure that you have the best experience or your buyer has the best experience possible. Very good about making sure that tracking numbers are uploaded on time, that items get out on time, and that the items are delivered by the carrier. Cons to using Amazon, sometimes they use their own shipping service, Amazon Logistics. And when they do that, eBay does not accept Amazon Logistics tracking numbers. So it will look like on eBay that you never uploaded a tracking number, when it's really just the case that eBay doesn't recognize the Amazon tracking number. Some other drawbacks of Amazon tends to be a little bit more competitive because a lot of people are using Amazon as a source. More cons to using Amazon is that you can get an Amazon Prime rewards card that gives you 5% back on all your purchases. And that's huge. That's a lot of cash back on your purchases from Amazon.com. Another huge benefit is that pretty much every dropshipping software out there that's used for eBay dropshipping works with Amazon. It's optimized best for Amazon out of any of the other sources available. So there's actually, like in DSM Tool, you can use an auto order system where anytime someone buys an item from you that you're sourcing from Amazon, DSM Tool, if you set it up and pay a little extra, will actually automatically order the item for you and get it shipped out to the customer. And if you're interested in DSM Tool, there is a link to it in the description of this video. That is an affiliate link. Just trying to think of more pros and cons of both. I think the biggest con is really that they do have high competition, and sometimes some items you can't purchase more than like 4 or 5 times. If you try to, Amazon will tell you you can't purchase this that many times. You have to purchase another item. So that might be a con as well. But whenever that happens to me, I just delete the item out of my store. Other people will set up multiple Amazon accounts to allow them to do that. Okay. Okay, awesome news that Sea Monkeys just said. Sea Monkey said, hey, Paul, here's some exciting news. Home Depot will be selling Tesla products this summer, 2018. This is one of Tesla's first big retailers, but more to come. So Tesla doesn't just make cars. For those of you who don't know more about the company, they also make pretty large batteries that people use. I think there's like a battery that you can install in your home as like a backup in case the power goes out, and it's supposed to last like a really long time. That's all I really know about them, but that is pretty exciting news, definitely. And Tyree says, what's up, Paul? Greetings from the Southern shippers down here in Texas. I'm actually headed your way tomorrow. I'm leaving for Texas tomorrow night, Austin, Texas, for a conference. I'm very excited about that. Okay, so I had a question this week from Rick Grimes, believe it or not. Rick Grimes has been watching my YouTube, and Rick says, hey, Paul, do you recommend sourcing from Sears and Kmart at all? I don't know if their return policies are a nightmare or not, so I figured I'd ask. Since I'm only scheduled to be on 6 episodes next season, I figure I'll have plenty of time to drop ship. Rick Grimes. Rick, first of all, thanks for watching my channel. Huge fan of all the zombies that you kill out there. But in all seriousness, Sears and Kmart, I've played around with them a little bit. I've always had a great experience with them. I do know dropshippers who use them a lot, like Becky from Broke to Boss Girl uses them a lot and has had huge success with them, thinks they're really great for dropshipping. So based on her recommendation, I would say that they're really awesome to use. Like I said, I've only played around with them a little bit. I did plan at one point to go more aggressive with Kmart and then kind of got distracted with other things. So that plan kind of fell through. But yeah, from what I hear, they're really great for drop shipping. Okay. And David asked a question this week underneath one of my videos. David said, I enjoy your videos, thank you. Quick question, does Home Depot include an invoice in the shipments, or can you do a gift option? Thanks again, keep the videos coming. So David, they do include an invoice, but it doesn't have the price on it. So you don't need to choose a gift option at checkout because it won't have the price on there no matter what. Jonathan also asked me a great question this week. Jonathan said, how long did it take you to get your first sale? And I tried to look back and really figure out how long it took. I think it took about a week. This was, my first sale was in January of 2017. I still remember when it happened. Unfortunately, my phone wasn't on loud because I was at work. So it buzzed and then I checked. I was like, oh my gosh, I made a sale. I think I made $1.23 off that sale. But I was so excited. That was my first sale. If I saw that if I was able to make $1.23 online, I could multiply that and make a lot more online. So that was really that moment. I'll just never forget it. And then I kind of thought, well, maybe it was just a mistake, right? But then a couple of days later, I got my second sale, and then that item sold again just a couple of days later, and I was like so excited. I was like, wow, this is actually working. So I think it took about a week. Okay. Okay. And Jono says, what's better, Walmart or Amazon? I don't think really one is better than the other. Both of them ship out their items really quickly. Both of them have great customer service. Walmart tends to cancel some orders for new drop shippers, while Amazon doesn't really do that. But I think Amazon probably has more selection, but they're both, probably equal competition, although I would say Amazon is probably a little bit more. Okay, James says he's wondering if Home Depot is selling Tesla cars. That would be hilarious. Nathan asks if I do bulk listings or if I optimize my titles. I optimize my titles. I don't do bulk listings. Kind of experimented with it in the past and didn't really have great results with it. I really believe that listing more items with better titles is really the method that I found works best for me. Okay. Let's see. So another question this week from Tao Go. Tao Go asked a couple questions. Tao seemed a little bit confused about how Giving Assistant worked. So if you're watching this, let me just explain real quick how Giving Assistant works. Giving Assistant doesn't work when you're listing an item. I think Tao was a little bit confused about that. You list an item on eBay, you don't use Giving Assistant. Giving Assistant doesn't come in until you actually buy the item from, let's say, Walmart.com or Amazon.com. In that case, you go to givingassistant.com and you type in the search bar within Giving Assistant, let's say Walmart. Then it brings you to a special button that you click that then brings you to Walmart. And then because you press that, you clicked on that special button, then any purchase you make on Walmart, you're going to get cash back for. Maybe it's 3% cash back. So that's the way Giving Assistant works. It's a cashback website. And I do have a link to that in the description of this video. Again, that's an affiliate link, but you get $5 if you sign up using that link. And then our Chance had a similar question about Giving Assistant. It says, it appears you have to buy certain items in order to get a percentage off. So and Giving Assistant has deals sometimes where they usually have a flat % off. Let's say on Walmart, they might give you 3% off or 3% back on any order that you place through walmart.com. But sometimes they also have like special deals where it'd be like 15% off if you shop in this category or 10% off if you shop in this category. But that's only at certain times, different categories. I usually just stick with the flat cash back because it's just the easiest one to keep track of. And then you don't apply the cash back to eBay, you apply it when you check out, like I said before. Okay, George says, Paul, what is a good break-even point on DSM Tool? Seems to have it at default at 19%. So George is asking basically, what is a break-even percentage for items that are being sold on eBay, right? So a general rule of thumb here is that it's a little less than 15% if you're not paying tax to the supplier. So if you're tax exempt, a lot of us are tax exempt at Home Depot or Walmart.com. In that case, your break even is going to be just about 15%. It's actually a little bit less, but I always put it at 15 just to be safe. If you're not tax exempt, it's going to have to be higher than that. Some states, you kind of got to find an average because every different state charges a different amount for sales tax. But some are really high, like around 9%. Some are really low. Some don't charge sales tax at all. So some people say a good average is if you do 21%, that's about a good break even. But for me, most of my suppliers I'm tax exempt for, so I do the 15% as the break even percentage. And Rich is asking, what about Ebates? Ebates is another website like Giving Assistant. It's not one that I've ever used really, but I've heard good things about it. Sorry, my dog's making strange noises. Okay, Daniel is asking, do you use the 1.4% pricing model that David Vu taught in his course? No, I don't do that, Daniel. That course back in the day, probably 2 or 3 years ago, was probably a really great course, but as of a couple of years ago, it's really outdated. It really doesn't work in this day and age because the game has changed so much with so much software out there for automation and the use of virtual assistants and just the higher competition. You really have to know how to play the game correctly. And unfortunately, that course doesn't cover everything you need to know to be successful, including one of the things, him talking about 1.4% really doesn't make sense anymore. James says, I'm about to hire my first virtual assistant thanks to Paul's super simple VA course. Thank you very much for the information, Paul. My pleasure, James. I'm glad you're finding value out of that. Oh, and Tao Go is here. So I'm glad I was able to answer your question, Tao. I think I had another question from you. Let me see if I can find that one too. Tao Go said, left this question in the comments section of one of my videos. He said, hey, Paul, when I start the sponsored campaign, does it go automatically to all listings or do I have to do it again every time I add an item? So what he's talking about here is when you do sponsored listings and you set up a campaign and now you're listing new items into your store. What do you have to do then? How do you get those listings into that campaign? Well, there's 2 ways to do this, well, 3 ways really. If you want to keep the same campaign going, then you have to go in and do Excel spreadsheets in order to change it to add the new listings. I don't do that. What I do is probably twice a week, I have my VAs go in and start a new campaign. So that does mean I have several campaigns running right now. So they're just starting a new campaign for the items that aren't in a campaign yet. Another option, which is probably a better one, is to end the campaign and then start a new one with all the listings, in your account. So I might do that like once a month just to clean things up. Okay. I had a great question, but I just lost it. Okay, C Monkey says, would you kick around the idea of doing a video on DSM Tool? You made one when you first started, but now you are a Jedi Master. By the way, what's your four-legged Yoda? So C Monkeys, I've made a bunch of videos about DSM Tool. I'll probably make another one soon because I have been using a lot more recently. So I'd like to kind of show again how I'm using it to really make my store grow quickly. And my four-legged Yoda back here is my little puppy. Lando is his name, actually. We call him the Hustle Hound. Okay, John says, hey, Paul, what's up? I used to work for Home Depot. I quit to do drop shipping. Had to get my 401k before the time ran out. They only gave me $920. Now I'm going to drop ship on Home Depot like crazy. That's awesome. Okay. And James says, I found an average of 8% for taxes seems to be fine. That's a good suggestion, I think. Eric asked a question this week. Eric asked me, can you use multiple cashback websites at a time? No, you can't. So the way it's set up is with the cookies. That's how it tracks the orders. And it's like last touch, it's called. So the last cashback website that you click through is the one that's going to be registered and the one that's going to work. You can't use multiple. Lots of people say that you can. I've never seen evidence that it works. And in fact, the way it's set up, it shouldn't work at all. And Miguel actually asked another question about DSM Tool this week. Miguel asked me, when I list an item with DSM Tool, again, this is a software that I use to quickly list my items onto eBay from other websites like Walmart or Amazon or Home Depot. Does it create a unique title for that item, for that listing, or do I have to do that myself? So what it's going to do is actually copy the exact title as it exists on your source's website. So let's say it's Amazon.com. Then I usually go in, or I do go in and have my VAs go in and change the title to optimize it and make it better. Because usually I'm not crazy about the titles that Amazon gives it. And Heecham's asking, how do I find hot items to sell? Well, I do have a free webinar explaining exactly how I do that. If you look underneath this video, inside the description, you'll see the first link. It says free eBay dropshipping webinar. Click there, sign up for the webinar. It's like a replay. It's the one I did in the past, but it's still relevant. And that's going to explain to you exactly how I do my product research, how I train my VAs to do it as well. And G. Mastrolia said, I know you've mentioned tax exemption in your course. Are you willing to do a YouTube video on this? I don't think I'm going to be doing a YouTube video about how to become tax exempt, only because it is a lengthy process. I don't think it would really work really well on YouTube, and it would take me a long time to do because it did take me a long time to put it together for the course as well. So it is inside the course, but I don't think I'm going to be doing a YouTube video per se about it. So Darius asked a great question from London. Hope I'm saying your name correctly. You say, when you plan to hire a virtual assistant, is it better to record the trainings myself, as in the person like you? Should you record the videos yourself, or is there training ready for them to use? Training videos already available for them? If you're comfortable making the videos yourself, that's always best, because everyone does it a little bit differently, right? But I know not everyone is really comfortable in front of the camera or doesn't even have the right equipment to make the screen sharing videos. That's why for my course, Super Simple VAs, which is all about how to hire and train virtual assistants, how to make this training material for your virtual assistants, I actually include with that a separate website that you gain access to as soon as you sign up for the course that has training videos available right there. You can send your virtual assistant to that other website and they can pick the video that you want them to watch and how to train them in order to do the job that you want them to do for your eBay dropshipping store. So that's kind of like a cheat if that's what you want to do. It's all inside the Super Simple VAs course. And if you guys are interested in that, that is the fourth link in the description of this video. And Dustin says, do I recommend having only one source per eBay store? Not necessarily. I've talked about this in the past, so maybe there's some confusion. It's certainly a lot easier to keep things separately. Having one store just for Home Depot, say, one for Amazon, one for Walmart. But there's also more logistics involved with that, right? Because then you have all these different stores to take care of. Especially when you're using a software like DSM Tool, which is going to keep track for you of which sources all your items belong to. So you don't really need to have them in separate stores. This was back like when you had a software, when I was using a software like SKUGrid, which was a little bit more complicated to use. I would have been more inclined to do that. If you want to do it that way by keeping the sources separate, that's certainly fine. Maybe you find it's easier to keep it organized. For me, I kind of was doing it for a little bit and now everything's just everywhere and it's still working out fine for me. I think really the key here is that I really believe that it's important to have multiple stores eventually. Don't get ahead of yourself. If you're brand new, you have one store, that's fine. That's gonna be fine for you for a long time. But in the future, you might want to think about creating a second store just to spread out some liability, to try new things. That's really the real reason I started my other stores, is to try new things. Start a small store that at beginning, I don't really care about too much, and try things in it. Try lower margins or higher promoted listing amounts, or messing with the shipping time, or giving free returns, different things like that. See how it affects your sales. And then if it works, if it helps your store in a positive way, then you should add those changes to your big store. So that's something you might want to consider doing as well. Got a little bit off topic, but I think that is going to help a lot of people. Okay. Let's see. Pete asked me, a lot of questions here. Do I think dropshipping is dead? eBay's made some changes recently and some people might be freaking out about it. So Pete, I do not think that dropshipping is dead. If you look at historically what has happened on eBay, eBay always goes through changes like this and people always freak out and say that dropshipping is dead. I was reading an article or saw some videos from a few years ago when eBay increased their prices. A whole bunch of eBay sellers protested, said they were going to have a boycott on eBay, but eBay still pushed forward. Everyone still did fine. Dropshipping still existed after that. Last year, eBay changed their return policy a little bit, and we thought that dropshipping was dead at that point, but it still worked. It's still going after that. Already have some changes happening, but I'm still making good money on dropshipping. A lot of my students still are as well. So I don't think it's dead. I think it's changing and we have to adapt to it, which happens all the time in business. And this is actually a really exciting time to be on eBay doing dropshipping, because with these changes occurring, we're going to be ahead of the curve. We're going to be learning it as the changes are happening. This is going to allow us to succeed where other people who are just coming into it aren't going to be able to keep up, or I shouldn't say this. Other people who aren't as familiar with the platform might struggle a little bit, but because we're in it, learning it as it's happening, we're going to be doing much better with eBay. So I'm going to skip a bunch of questions, kind of get caught up on the live stream because there's a ton of questions coming in. Okay, I had a question from the week, and of course I just lost it. So let me see if there's any questions in the live stream. So Umesh asked a question. Seems like you're a little bit confused about how eBay dropshipping works, because you said, when I fulfill an order from Amazon, doesn't that mean I have to cancel the order on eBay? And won't I get in trouble on eBay? So that's not exactly how it works, Umesh. What's happening is somebody buys it from you on eBay, and then instead of shipping the item from your home, you're going to order it on Amazon, put in the buyer from eBay, their shipping address, and send the item directly to the customer. So you're not canceling the item on eBay, you're just using Amazon to send the item to the customer. As far as Amazon is concerned, you are the customer. But on eBay, the customer is still going to get their items. I hope that clears that up for you. And Richard asks, hey, Paul, is 1% for promoted listings the way to go? That's what I've been using, and it's been working for me, 1% flat across everything. Experiment with it. See what works for you. I tried 2%, I tried 1%. I'm using 1% now, and it seems to be working fine, though. Okay. So I'm going to try to go back because I missed a bunch of questions. And Dark Raider says, are the training videos for the VAs inside the course ever updated? Yes, they're going to be updated as changes occur. So John says, what's the easiest way to snipe items from other sellers without the use of software? So I actually explained exactly how to do this in that webinar that I mentioned before. So the first link in the description of this video will show you how to, well, I don't use it to snipe, but you could use the same method to snipe. And Thomas asks, Paul, I just got tax exempt this week. Do I update this through DSM Tool? So Thomas, what I recommend that you do is you should really understand how the tax laws work. You might want to speak to a CPA or a tax attorney about it, but you would be responsible to collect sales tax for at least one state. You should know what state that is. You would set that up directly in eBay. Okay. Andrew said, Paul, I got the course after I somewhat knew what I was doing, and I still found it had so much valuable information. I wish I had started with it to begin with. Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate that. Wow, Tiago says, Paul, I just reached $5,000 in gross sales my first month. I just wanted to thank you. That's awesome. I'm so excited to hear that for you. Make sure to keep me updated on your progress. So I'd love to hear how well you're doing. That's really great start. Let's see some other questions. Joey has a question about the course, but Joey, just click the third link in the description of this video. It's going to tell you everything about the course if you're interested in that. Okay, Sebastian asks a very common question. Paul, what if the buyer finds out that you're drop shipping? Like they get the box and it says Amazon on it, and it has the price. So Sebastian, there's a couple of different ways around this. So first of all, websites like HomeDepot.com, they're not going to supply the price. Amazon, you can do a gift receipt, so they're not going to get the price, for instance. Oftentimes, I would say 95% of the times, nobody cares. Either they don't notice or they just rip open their package and don't even notice that the item came from somewhere else, or they just never say anything to me. Of the 5% who do say something to me, I usually send them a message that says something like, thank you for your question and for your order. We do use outside vendors to fulfill our orders to make it possible to get the items to our customers as quickly as possible. Occasionally, we use outside vendors as a fulfillment service, such as Amazon.com, and we appreciate any feedback regarding the service. That's like a lot of big words in there. It's a lot of like mumbo jumbo. I think it kind of confuses people and then they shut up and just leave it alone. Of the very small percentage who do complain about it, it's rarely ever an issue, because if they do leave negative feedback about it, I can almost always get it removed by eBay, because they are complaining that the price is cheaper on another source, and they're not allowed to do that as part of a negative feedback. And they're not really allowed to complain about the price because they were able to check the price before they bought the item. And Annie says, should I ask permission to dropship, or should I just start doing it? Just start doing it. You don't need to ask anyone permission to do anything like this, to change your life, to start your own business. You give yourself the permission to do it, okay? Just get started with it. No matter what online business you're trying to start, or anything you're trying to do to change your life. I know this isn't exactly your question, but no matter what you're trying to do with your life, don't seek permission from other people. Just do it yourself. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, kind of along the same lines as what I was just talking about. A lot of people I've heard say, I wanted to try this, but so-and-so in my family said not to do it, or one of my friends said it's a bad idea. And to that, I'm starting to ask myself this question. Anytime I get, somebody like a friend or relative trying to give me advice, I'm trying to think to myself, are they in the position that I want to be in, right? Are they as successful as I want to be? And if not, then I'm not going to take advice from them. I'm going to be nice to them and say, okay, thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate that. But then I'm going to do my own research, find out what I want to do, and then that's what I want to do. Certainly there are people in my life who are really smart and that I do trust their opinion. But there's a lot of people who just will give you advice when you never even ask for it. And those are the people that I think a lot of times we got to kind of tune out. Okay, Christine asks a great question. Says, hey, Paul, I love the course. Should I have a separate eBay account for dropshipping if I already have one for retail arbitrage? Christine, I think it's a really good idea to do that. You're going to have different business policies for a dropshipping account as opposed to a retail arbitrage account. So the thing with retail arbitrage is you have the items in stock, so you can ship them out the same day or the very next day. You might be able to get top rated seller for that. With a dropshipping account, it kind of sometimes takes a few days for the supplier to ship it out, which is perfectly fine if you're not trying to get top rated seller, or you have business policies that state that it could be like a 3 day handling time. So for that reason, I think you should have separate accounts, definitely. Okay, I'm scroll up a little bit. Okay, Andrew, thanks for helping other people out in the chat. Andrew says, if Walmart cancels your order, just open up a chat with them and they will tell you to wait 30 minutes and try it again. And yeah, that does work, Andrew. So thank you for sharing that. And Tao says, should I focus on sniping or optimizing for a beginner? I think you should do exactly what I teach in that webinar. I know I've mentioned it twice already, but I really think it's valuable for new sellers. Check out the first link, that's the webinar. That's exactly what I think new sellers should be doing. I think it's the best way to get started with eBay dropshipping. Connie says, are there any legal ramifications when you dropship from online stores? No, there's not. It might be against some stores' terms of service, but that doesn't mean it's illegal. You're not going to get arrested for it. You're not going to get you're not going to get in trouble with the IRS. It could get a little bit more complicated if you try to become tax exempt. So just make sure if you are going to become tax exempt that you do get that set up correctly. You might want to speak to a CPA or a tax attorney about that. But before you get to that point, or just the general idea of drop shipping from another store is certainly not illegal at all. Whoa, great. Justin says, hey, Paul, I bought the course 11 days ago. I have had $1,600 in sales. I should have more, but I got 2 young kiddos and I'm listing a little cheaper just to get sales and more buyer feedback. Justin, I think that's a really smart idea when you get started. And $1,600 in your first 11 days is a great start. So congratulations on that. And I understand what you mean about the kids, how distracting that can be. Okay. And brkn.tv says, do you use more than one Walmart account? No, I only have one account that I use for my Walmart orders. I know some other dropshippers have multiple accounts, and it is possible to set up another Walmart account using your same tax exempt number, but it's not something I ever had to do because for whatever reason, my orders go through just fine on Walmart. Okay. Let's see. So Sebastian's asked me specifically which items to dropship, and I can't give you any specific items, but again, I'll mention it again, check out the webinar. That's exactly the best way to do product research. If you don't want to use that method and you're just interested in listing a whole bunch of items, just think about what people will be buying this time of year. This is the summer. People this time of year might be start to buy outdoor equipment like patio furniture, grills, things like that. So you can just try to list those items. It's not just listing kind of blindly like that isn't, in my opinion, the best way to do it. But if that's what you want to do, that's another choice as well. And a couple people, Dorit is here. Welcome, Dorit. Okay, Theo says, how do you organize your items, the purchases, if I have different sources? So DSM Tool keeps track of all the sources for me. So I don't have to know, oh, this item is from Amazon, this one's from Walmart, this one's from Target. It's all right there inside DSM Tool. It's gonna pull up any of the orders from eBay and then show me exactly which source the item can be purchased from. Okay. And mainly Thrift says, what quantity should I put for each of my items that are listed in my store? So that there's so many factors to consider when considering what the quantity should be. If you're new, you're probably going to have a low listing limit, which means that let's say you're only able to list 10 items in your store. If you list one item and put it as a quantity of 5, then you're only going to be able to list 5 more items. So in the beginning, I think for that reason, your quantity should be 1. If you have more wiggle room there, then there's 2 schools of thought here. One is if you have a low quantity, like 1, that's going to create scarcity. So the potential buyer is going to see that and think, oh, there's only 1 left. I have to buy it right now. On the other hand, there might be some buyers out there who want to buy more than 1, and you're not giving them that choice. So you really got to kind of experiment for yourself, and it's really kind of on a per item basis. For instance, a lot of people, I always use this example of side tables. A lot of people are going to buy side tables in pairs. They want one for one side of their couch and one for the other side of their couch. So for that item, you might want to put the quantity as 2. Generally, I just leave my quantity at about 2 just across the board because that makes it easier to manage it, and DSM Tool will automatically put it back to 2 using that. Okay, Dorit says, do you open up only one account with Home Depot? Do you work with credit or gift cards? Dorit, I have an account with Home Depot, but I don't use it. Actually, I have a few, but we don't use them anymore. We just always do guest checkout, and we always use gift cards. That way I can give my VAs the gift cards. I don't have to give them my credit card information, and they use that during the checkout process. And Justin says, if a source has free shipping at a certain price, so let's say it's $45, do I ever list items from under that price? Yes, absolutely. And Joey, I do not use DSM's auto order feature because I just have my virtual assistants do it. Okay. See more questions I had saved up from the week. I think I had one more that I missed. No, I think I got them all. Great. So let's see more questions in the live chat here. Okay. So Jono is selling on eBay UK, is going to take on the US market soon. Somebody else commented that's the new British invasion. Okay, Jing says, an item was out of stock. I messaged the buyer to ask whether they wanted to cancel the order. He didn't respond. What should I do now? So I suggest you send them a follow-up message asking them again. Try emailing them. You're going to have their email through PayPal. PayPal, when you got the email from PayPal letting you know that someone paid you, they also include the buyer's email in there as well. So I would send an email to them and tell them to respond to you on eBay. If that doesn't work, I would just cancel the order and send a message saying, hey, we haven't heard from you. We don't know what you want to do. So we don't tie up your money. We're going to cancel the order for you. That way you can get your money back right away. So Thomas says, Paul, I have 100% positive feedback, but with a score of 54. I think when you say a score of 54, you mean that you have 54 people who have given you feedback. Does that scare potential buyers, or is this because I'm fairly new? So Thomas, I'm not 100% sure if you're asking because you only have 54. Is that scary? Or is it scary because it's 100%? Which one you're talking about there. So if it's the first one, if you're just worried that you only have 54 feedback, I wouldn't be too worried about that. I've experimented with this, but before, when I started a new store, I found that my sales were still going at a pretty steady clip, even though I had no feedback in that store. So I don't think feedback is as important as a lot of people say. It definitely is important. I think it's really important to try to maintain as close to 100% as you can and to get as much feedback as you can just to get that social proof. But I don't think it's as important as people say. The 100%, if you're worried that people are scared of that, maybe, I don't think that's what you meant, but I can understand why some people might see it as 100%. Maybe this person is like scamming people and somehow just manipulating it to get 100%. I don't think a lot of buyers think that way. Vubako says, I'm awaiting your update on Amazon FBA, but I'm not selling on Amazon FBA right now. I am dropshipping onto Amazon. I have started that. I'm going to be making a video soon letting you guys know how well I've been doing with that. Okay. Hi, Paul, from sunny St. Petersburg, Florida. And Not Lucas is asking another question about becoming tax exempt. Says, what are the benefits of becoming tax exempt when ultimately the buyer will pay it and can just cover sales tax if you are not exempt? Not Lucas, I would be very careful. I've said this in a lot of my videos, but don't charge sales tax unless you're confident you know what you're doing. Speak to a CPA or possibly a tax attorney about it, because the way you're describing it is not exactly the way it works. You're not allowed to charge sales tax in a state unless you are registered to collect sales tax for that state. So you can't just collect it for every state. That's not the way it works. You're only allowed to collect it for certain states. For me, that's only one state. So the benefit for me is I don't have to pay sales tax to most states, and my buyers only have to pay me sales tax for one state. Okay. Cynthia says, how do I handle a situation when I ordered an item from Home Depot and the item hasn't shipped out yet? The buyer's been waiting for it. Now the buyer wants to cancel the order, but Home Depot hasn't shipped it out and they won't cancel it. What do you do? So Cynthia, there's a couple options here. One, if the item isn't supposed to have been shipped out yet, if it's not past due on eBay, then just tell the customer that this order is being fulfilled and it can't be canceled at this point. They can either refuse delivery of the item, in which case it will be shipped back and they'll receive a refund, or they can return it once they get it, or they can keep it. Another option is that once the item does ship out, you can call UPS and ask them to hold it at a pickup point. What will happen then is the item will be held at a UPS pickup point, and after 3 days, when the buyer doesn't pick it up, which they won't because they won't know it's there, the item will be returned back to Home Depot and you'll get a refund, and presumably you would have refunded the buyer before then. Okay. Molitium Studios says, hey, Paul, does DSM Tool do variations? No, they don't do variations right now. Okay, Kyle or Keel, no, it's Kyle. Yeah, Kyle says, can you use a virtual office address for your business? I don't want to use my home address for privacy reasons. What is a good workaround for that? Yes, you can use a virtual office address. Make sure that when you set it up with them, that they understand why you're using it and for what purpose. A lot of times you can get like a box at a local store. Like I know here in New York, there's like these FedEx, UPS stores where you can use them as a ship to center, for instance. So that's something that you might want to look at as well. I hope that answers your question, Kyle. Okay, I have time for just a couple more questions. Like I said earlier in the video, I am going to Texas tomorrow and I'm not even packed yet. So I will have to pack tonight. And Tony gives a great suggestion, something I always forget to ask for. If you guys are getting value out of this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. I'm at what am I at right now? Like 8,900 subscribers, which is awesome. I'm so excited to get to 10,000 subscribers. I know it's going to happen in just a couple weeks. Not that the numbers really matter, but I don't know if I mentioned this, but as soon as I hit 10,000 subscribers, I'll be able to go to the YouTube space here in New York City. It's called Unlock the Space. As soon as you hit 10,000 subscribers, you can go in there, use all their fancy cameras, their fancy equipment, and I'm hoping that I can get in there and make better videos for you guys. So that's going to be pretty fun to do. So that's really the only reason I want to hit 10,000 subscribers. So if you guys want to help me unlock the YouTube space, make sure to subscribe to the channel and make sure to hit the thumbs up button. That way this video gets out to more people and more people subscribe so I can get into the YouTube space, because that would be pretty awesome. Dropship Tyler is here. Dropship Tyler says, do you plan on scaling aggressively or taking a step back while we are all sorting out what eBay is trying to do? That's a great question, Tyler. What I'm doing right now, what our plan right now with my virtual assistants is we're just going to kind of keep doing what we've been doing, not try to go more aggressively with anything. Just keep going and see where things kind of land after a couple months as the changes occur. Once we kind of figure it out, we can reevaluate. Say, are we happy with where things are, or do I want to try to scale more aggressively with that? This is also because I have other projects going on, like I just started on Amazon, so I want to put some attention into that. Obviously, I have the courses that I've made that I want to make sure that those are continually updated as well. So not going to do anything too aggressive, but really the plan is probably October, early November. I really want to make sure that I'm super ready for Q4 this year, because last year was amazing Q4, and I want to make sure I have another amazing Q4, no matter what's happening on eBay this year as well. But thanks for the question. Alice sent a chat that said, subscribe, all he does is help. And for some reason, eBay flagged it. They thought it was, YouTube flagged it, thought it might have been a spam comment, probably because it was all capitals and exclamation points. Okay, guys, I'm going to cut it short here. I know it hasn't been quite an hour, and I like to make these an hour, but I do have some packing to do. So thanks, everyone, so much for coming out and asking me questions, for all the great questions I got this week. I hope you guys got some value out of it. And if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again so much, and have a wonderful night, everyone. See you next week.